Every time a new president enters the White House, the economy of the United States changes. Sometimes it grows, sometimes it crashes. Sometimes millions of people lose their jobs, and sometimes millions become rich. Over the last 100 years, U.S. presidents have reshaped the entire financial system of the country through wars, crises, booms, and collapses. Today, you will see how different presidents change the American economy, for better or for worse. Harding and Coolidge. The Roaring Twenties. After World War I, the United States entered a period known as the Roaring Twenties. Under Presidents Warren Harding and Calvin Coolidge, the government reduced taxes on the wealthy and businesses. Regulations were weak, and companies were allowed to grow rapidly with almost no limits. Stock markets were booming, factories were producing more than ever, people were buying cars, radios, and household goods on credit. On the surface, the economy looked perfect, but behind the scenes, massive speculation and risky investments were building into a dangerous bubble, a bubble that would soon explode. The Great Depression. Herbert Hoover became president right before the worst economic disaster in American history. In 1929, the stock market crashed, banks collapsed, businesses shut down, millions of people lost their homes and jobs. Unemployment reached nearly 25%. Families stood in long lines for soup, children slept on the streets, farmers lost everything. Hoover believed the economy would recover on its own. He refused to intervene strongly, but the suffering only became worse. By the time his presidency ended, the country was in total economic collapse. Truman, 1945 to 1953, and Eisenhower, 1953 to 1961, the post-war boom. After World War II, the United States became the strongest economy in the world. Its cities and factories were untouched, unlike Europe and Japan. Under Truman and Eisenhower, America entered a golden age. Suburbs expanded, highways were built, the middle class grew rapidly, people bought houses, cars, and modern appliances. The American dream became a reality for millions of families. This was one of the richest and most stable periods in U.S. history. Kennedy, 1961 to 1963, and Johnson, 1963 to 1969. Growth and spending. President John F. Kennedy cut taxes to stimulate the economy. Businesses expanded, unemployment fell, confidence returned. After his assassination in 1963, Lyndon B. Johnson expanded government spending even more. He funded large social programs like Medicare, education, and housing, while also paying for the Vietnam War. The economy grew, but inflation and government debt also increased. America was getting stronger, but also more expensive to run. Richard Nixon, 1969 to 1974. Ending the gold standard in 1971, Richard Nixon made a historic decision. He removed the US dollar from the gold standard. This meant the value of money was no longer tied to gold. It could now float on global markets. This caused inflation, currency instability, and rising costs of living, but it also created the modern financial system we live in today. This single decision reshaped global economics forever. Jimmy Carter, 1977 to 1981. Stagflation and oil crises. During Carter's presidency, the U.S. faced a terrible combination. High inflation, high unemployment, and slow economic growth. Gas prices skyrocketed. People waited in long lines at fuel stations. Life became much more expensive for ordinary Americans. This period was called stagflation, and it destroyed confidence in the government's ability to manage the economy. The country wanted change. Ronald Reagan, 1981 to 1989. Reaganomics. Ronald Reagan completely changed U.S. economic philosophy. He cut taxes, reduced regulations, and promoted free market capitalism. Businesses expanded. Stock markets rose sharply. Corporate profits exploded, but government debt increased. And the gap between the rich and the poor grew wider. Reagan's policies reshaped not only America, but the entire global economy. George H.W. Bush, 1989 to 1993, and Bill Clinton, 1993 to 2001. Tech boom. During the 1990s, the world entered the digital age. Under Bill Clinton, the internet, computers, and new technology created millions of jobs. Trade expanded globally. American companies dominated world markets. For a rare moment, the US achieved a budget surplus. More money coming in than going out. The future looked rich, digital, and promising. George W. Bush, 2001 to 2009. War and financial collapse. After the 9/11 attacks, the United States entered long, expensive wars. The government borrowed massive amounts of money. At the same time, banks offered risky loans for houses. In 2008, the housing bubble burst. Banks failed. Markets crashed. Millions lost jobs, homes, and savings. It was the worst crash since 1929. Barack Obama, 2009 to 2017. Recovery. Barack Obama entered office during a financial disaster. His administration introduced stimulus packages, rescued major companies, and strengthened financial regulations. Slowly, the economy recovered. Unemployment dropped, stock market stabilized, growth returned. It wasn't perfect, but the country moved away from collapse. Trump, 2017 to 2021, and Biden, 2021. Pandemic and inflation. Donald Trump entered office promising to bring jobs back to America and make the economy stronger than ever. He introduced massive tax cuts for corporations and individuals, reduced regulations on businesses, and launched trade wars, especially with China, in an attempt to reshape American industry and reduce dependence on foreign goods. For a short time, the economy did grow. Stock markets reached record highs. Unemployment dropped. Then, everything changed. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world. Entire cities shut down overnight. Airports closed. Businesses locked their doors. Millions of people lost their jobs in the shortest economic collapse in modern history. To prevent total disaster, the government injected trillions of dollars into the economy. Direct payments, unemployment benefits, emergency loans. Money was flowing everywhere in an attempt to keep America alive. When Joe Biden entered office in 2021, the economy began to reopen. Jobs slowly returned, businesses restarted, travel resumed. But that massive flood of money came with a price. Inflation surged to levels not seen in decades. The price of food jumped, rent exploded, gas became painfully expensive. Everyday life suddenly cost much more than before. What had once been a stable economy turned into one filled with uncertainty and pressure for ordinary families. This era proved one powerful truth. Even the strongest economy in the world can be shaken in a matter of months, and the consequences can last for years. Over the past century, US presidents didn't just change laws, they changed money, they changed jobs, they changed the future of millions. Some lifted the country out of darkness, some pushed it into chaos, and some left a mixed legacy that is still affecting your life today. Which president do you think had the biggest impact on the economy? Write your answer in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because in the next video we will dive into the darkest economic secrets that history tried to hide.